The first step is to start by cleaning your glass bottle or jar. That's what they've called it. Make sure it's really clean so there's no bacteria left behind that could harm your ecosystem. It makes sense. Right, so I'm going to start by cleaning the inside. Right, so I've thoroughly cleaned the inside of this terrarium. I'm not going to worry too much about the outside for now because I will clean that once I've totally finished it. So the next step. This says the foundation of your ecosystem. An ecosystem is a small world in your interior home or office. A good foundation is therefore important. A thin layer of potting soil first, hydro grains on top, and finish it off with the active charcoal. Potting soil first, clay balls, active charcoal. So for now, I'm not going to think about the position of the plants. I'm just going to do exactly what it says. Okay, so there's 1 bag per terrarium. And I'm not going to put the entire bag in because I want to do a top layer of soil after the active charcoal. And I'm officially ready to start. My soil. Like I said before, I am not going to put everything in. I'm just going to put a layer, maybe I'd say about half, just to save a little bit to put on top. Oh, it's lovely. It's really good quality soil, you can tell. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and insert it without touching the sides, which might be a little bit difficult, but I can always wipe them afterwards.
Right, I'm just going to pour it in.
Okay, so that's about half. I'm just going to shake it to level it off. Perfect, so that's what it looks like for now. Now, we're going to go with the clay balls. I'm going to put the whole packet. Okay, that was a bit easier. Shake it. That's looking really nice. So you can see, obviously it needs a clean again, but that's going to be the final touch. But obviously you can see the soil, the clay balls, and then I'm going to put the active charcoal. So there we go, give it a little shake. Now I'm going to top it up with the rest of the soil, because in this leaflet it says, then put the rest of all the potting soil in the pot and divide. This build-up ensures proper and natural water drainage and a good base for the plant roots to take root in later.
So here we go. I'm going to put the whole thing in this time. There we go. Easy peasy.
So I'm going to give it another little shake. Okay, so some of the clay balls are coming through, but that's absolutely fine. So this is how much is in the terrarium. I mean, it's just a layer in the bottom. We've got lots of room for the plants. Next, place moss and plants. Place the moss all around in your pot on top of the potting soil, leaving room for the plants. And gently press the moss into the soil. Remove the plants from the pot. Okay, let's do the moss first. Right, so my bag of moss. And this is live moss, so obviously it's going to continue to grow. As you can see, oh, it's a lovely colour and it's quite thick. So I'm just going to place that where I want, where I think it's going to be nice. I think I'm just going to start by doing some on the outside. And maybe leave room in the middle for the plants. That seems like a good idea to me. Obviously this will spread, so there's not to worry about not having enough or anything like that. Just press it a little bit down, not too much, just so it's not gonna move. I think I'm just gonna pop it around, just spread it out a little bit. I'm enjoying this. Oh, they've provided more than enough moss. This is what it's looking like for now. So I've left a space in the middle to pop a few plants and the moss will grow around anyway. The moss is a little bit humid. I can feel it to the touch, which obviously is brilliant because it's not dried out during the shipping or anything like that. Remove the plants from the pot, make a hole in the soil with your fingers and place the plant in the soil. And press with potting soil just to, you know, put the plant into place. If the root ball of the plant is a bit dry, give some extra water before placing it in your ecosystem. Right, now, we've got to remember that we've got 2 terrariums. So there's 3 plants per terrarium. I can always add more plants of my own later on, but for now I'm just going to use what's provided. So I'm going to use one of the pink Photonias and one of the coffee plants. And because the other terrarium is a little bit higher, only a little bit, I'm going to leave the Calathea for the other terrarium and I'm going to use the other Photonia. I've selected my plants, now I'm going to remove them from the pots, place them in the terrarium. Just very gently press around. I'm just going to dig a hole first. Just a little bit. There we go. That's exactly what we wanted. This means that it's not dry, it's keeping its shape, which is brilliant. Right, so let's put this one into place and then a little bit of soil, just press down a little bit. It's looking beautiful already. Okay, so there we go, Photoninia. Then the coffee plant, same process. The roots are really good on this one. It doesn't matter if this gets a little bit messy, if you move the moss a little bit, it doesn't really matter because in the end it's going to grow, it's going to move by itself. So, and when you water it, you know, it's a live plant, so it's obviously going to change. So the positioning isn't how it's always going to be. Oh, that's looking lovely. Okay, so there is a tiny gap in the middle, but that will give the space for the plants to move and grow. Just so you can have a quick look. Next step, decorate your ecosystem. Fill empty spaces with extra moss and, if desired, some decorative stones or other terrarium attributes. So I actually have some little personal things that I want to put in. I have a glass animal, just little things like that. You can make it into whatever you want. You could put a little fairy scene in there, just little bits of terracotta planters broken up, make some little cobblestones, so you can decorate it however you want. So I'm just going to put the remaining moss where there's a few spaces and I'm going to add my little decorations. So I've cleaned thoroughly my decorations because it's very important to not introduce bacteria into the terrarium. So I've got these little glass hearts that I got from my grandma, which are lovely, and they'll give it a green theme, little glass hearts. And I've got a little handmade glass penguin. Oh, there we go. So he's going to go in too. I'm just going to pop the glass hearts on the moss and the penguin. I think I'm going to pop him in the middle. I might add other things later. Okay, so it says, that's it. Place your ecosystem in a nice spot in your interior and make sure it gets enough light, but not direct sunlight. Obviously, there's the LED light provided, so not near a window, anything like that, because it will get very hot in there since it's glass. If you've got some artificial light, that's good too. It says, for taking care of the ecosystem, so the terrarium, light. The right light is essential for the health of your ecosystem and the plants. It's important that the plants don't get too little light, which can cause them to go moldy. So that's really important. Or too much light, which can cause the plants to burn. That's why you really don't want them next to a window where it'll get hot. Avoid direct sunlight. For an even distribution of light, turn it a quarter turn every 2 weeks. Just so, obviously, because it's round and the plants are going to lean towards the light, you just want to turn it a little bit. The water. A closed ecosystem creates its own humid climate. The plants transpire water in the form of vapor. This vapor partially condenses That's why you see some little condensation thing in the inside of the terrarium sometimes. These droplets then moisten the soil and create a humid environment in which the plants thrive. Still too dry? No worries. Even a closed ecosystem can need some extra moisture every 6 months. So this is something that's not going to need constant maintenance. It's going to keep thriving by itself once you've set it up properly. If the soil feels dry or the moss is becoming less green, you can add 5 to 10 centiliters of water depending on the size of your ecosystem. Condensation. Sometimes there is too much condensation and the plants are barely visible. That's what I was saying earlier. Sometimes you can't really see inside. In this case, open your ecosystem for 30 to 60 minutes to allow excess moisture to evaporate. Does the condensation keep coming back? Then move it elsewhere. So maybe the place where you've put it in the house is not ideal. Temperature. Our ecosystems are only suitable for indoors and the best temperature is between 15 and 25 Celsius, which is generally what a normal household temperature is. Lifespan. With the right ecosystem conditions, plants can sustain themselves for years. If your moss is no longer green, remove it from the pot and put it in filtered water. Then squeeze it and put it back in your ecosystem. So this obviously gives the moss a little boost, but my moss is really green for now. So that will be in a few months that we'll be doing that. So that's everything for this terrarium. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get a little bit of water just to moist the soil and water the plants that I've popped in there. I'm going to clean it again inside very carefully. And then I'm going to close it up with the LED light that comes on the cork. I'm going to clean the outside very last.